Hello there, this is Dr. Samurai, a professor in Japan specializing in international social pathology. Today's my thug profile number 5 is Mr. Samuel Little. Okay, as usual, in the first half, I would like to give you some general information on Sam, and then in the latter half, I would like to give you some personal information I got from, our personal communication, so to speak. Okay, let's start. As most of you may know, Samuel Little is known for killing 93 women. He's now at the age of 80, but 93 is the highest number in U.S. serial murder history. What exactly did he do? Okay, according to Sam, he said like this: he was born when his mother was still teenagers, like 16, 17 years old, and such a young girl could not take care of a baby. So she left Sam on the steps of some of the building along the road. Okay, and fortunately there passes a handicapped gentleman. I think Sam said he did not have both of his legs, but must have been a very nice person. Anyway, he passed on his horse with those rear carrier, and he picked some up, and in the end he came to be raised under his grandmother. I imagine because it was such a small town, it was easy to identify whose boy he was. But anyway, his grandma started to take care of Sam, okay? And he said he was happy, to live with his grandma. But when he hit his teens, he started a series of petty crimes, like entering other people's house and stealing things. But anyway, he came to be institutionalized. Okay, there was a time that he lived with his mom briefly. That's what Sam said, but it must have been very brief. And he made his living based on unstable, handiworks kind of thing, not the regular one type of, occupation. And he working, doing such jobs, he moved around several states doing some petty crimes too. And he was arrested for DUI, fraud, for illegal sexual intercourse, shoplifting, assault, rape, and on and on. This, by the way, is a good sign of him being having psychopathic traits. People called psychopath are considered to be very flexible in terms of doing things. A psychopath is not made to do only one thing. He's capable of many different types of crimes very well. But anyway, he showed a little bit of that sign, I think. Then he was finally sent to prison, but it was there in prison that he started to learn how to box. He was a big guy. To be honest with you, I have a good friend of mine who used to be world karate champion, and Sam looks exactly like him, with mustache and with this offensive, aggressive eyes. Sorry about the noise if you hear. There's this, break-in building going on right next to my apartment house. But anyway, so he started to learn how to box, and he was very good at it. And he started to earn awards and boxing competitions. There are competitions within, prison, boxing matches. And he was very strong. He's a big guy too. Even without learning boxing, I think most of the people cannot beat him. That's my impression. Okay? And after that prison experience, he repeated rapes and murders. And finally, in 2012, he was arrested for the 3 murders he committed during 1980s. 3 murders. And for that, he got life without parole. Okay? Over 3 murders. Then, what's surprising happened after that. After he started his prison life for that life without parole, over 3 murders that happened in the 1980s, he started to confess to correctional officers and people around him, and in the end, the number hit 93, the highest in the United States. He killed the most number of women in the United States. Okay? So it is clear that he carried some kind of anger inside, which he himself did not know where it came from. Okay, this is the first half. And then let's move on to the part 2. The Sam that I know. Okay, he was re-arrested in 2014. So it's pretty new, like 6 years ago, right? So to those dark celebrities, there come so many fan letters. I sent a letter anyway from Japan, and in a month or so there came a reply from Sam, and it clearly said, like, I received so many letters from all over the world, but your letter somehow seemed most interesting, so I have decided to reply yours first. That's what he said. What an honor. But at the same time, having been doing this, study for years, over very close to 20 years now. So I kind of know how they think, and I can copy. I can pretty much imagine how they think. So, I can write letters at the same level that they think, which could be part of natural me too. But anyway, I never made up, a fake self. I'm always honest to anybody. I never lie, even when I lie. Okay, this is a phrase from movie Scarface, but anyway. Okay, and he chose me for his precious correspondence. He followed saying that I have very high respect for those young fighters for, zero fighter planes. I highly respect their never backing down souls, that sort of thing. So I was so honored, and I started to like him because he kindly showed me his genuine respect for my ancestors, for the guts and spirits and heart of self-sacrificing. It's interesting. I might have mentioned this a little bit before, but I have been saved by my zero fighter plane ancestors so many times in my international communications, and I owe them big time. And that's partly why I worked on taking a representative of Hiroshima and Nagasaki survivors to a Nobel Peace Prize award. That was kind of a genuine thing that I wanted to do. It's for those survivors, but at the same time, I wanted to do that for all those people who died in the war, including zero fighter plane soldiers who flew on one-way fuel. But I just wanted to mention that because I am very appreciative to those ancestors. Pure heart. Not the cause though, not the war itself. But anyway, I think the way I started to write my letter to Sam. How do you think I started to write it? I went like this. If I was you, I think you made a very wise decision. You were 78 or something, right? And you already have life without parole confirmed. So, even if you leak extra murder cases that you committed, the sentence will not change. So, but you could be taken out to those murder scenes you were familiar with. You could eat hamburgers and sandwiches and real pizzas, which California prisoners cannot eat. All they can eat are artificial meat. But and also they could drive you around the town so you can see the outside world too. So I think that's a smart choice. That's what I wrote. And I even added saying that even if they should change it to death sentence, considering your age and knowing that it normally takes 30 years to go up to the Supreme Court, Federal Supreme Court for 30 years, it's the same thing. The title could change to death sentence. It will technically be just a life sentence, so nothing will change, but you have this tours once in a while and eat outside restaurants and stuff. So you are a very smart person, my friend. That's what I wrote. And he, I think, liked the way I contacted him. Oh, this you shouldn't forget. The current California governor is Gavin Newsom, Mr. Gavin Newsom. I have a respect for him, but he is an ardent, opposer to death sentence. So that must be working positively to his safe position. But anyway, that's how I contacted him. He said something like, I have this high respect for Zero Fighter, so you can ask me anything. It was very generous, but you keep doing this business, you cannot take what they say as exactly as they say. I had this one gentleman who responded the same way. Okay, Dr. Samurai, ask me any kind of question and I would be very happy, more than happy to answer all your questions. That I did, but there's no reply from him. So we can never forget that it is still part of the deal, business, deal. So my side, I can never relax, okay, till I get what I want. Anyway, Sam told me about his mom that looking back, at the age of 16, 17, it is impossible for such a young single lady to bring up a boy on her own. So I think what she did, which is to leave me at steps to some building, was the right thing. That sounds very cool. He didn't sound like he had no anger whatsoever against his mother who deserted. But listen to this. As an expert, to recognize one thing in mind and to accept it emotionally, to feel comfortable about it, are two different things. Feeling and recognitions are two different things. That's what I am saying. So, though Sam said he now feels fine with his mom who dumped him, young Sam at the age of 6 and 7 and 5 and 10 and 12, he must have been angry and must have carried unknown anger inside, okay? And that's what shows in his eyes. He said one thing, but he felt another. That's what I believe, okay? And anyway, his grandma took care of him, and his mother was say 17 years old or so. So his grandma must have been around 40s yet, okay? Pretty much young grandma. So he honestly confessed that I was sexually attracted to my grandma. And I think the same thing was happening with my grandma too. So this grandson and young grandma were both sexually attracted to each other, although they didn't do anything because it was, against human moral or taboo, okay? And he also told me, do you have any incident, any standing out incident that you remember from your childhood? And he goes like, when I was an elementary school student, there was this very beautiful white girl. So he approached her and confessed, would you be my girlfriend? And the way she replied to him was, of course, no, with this despising eyes, like she saw something dirty. So that psychological trauma, that cute white girl rejected, handsome black boy, left a permanent scar on his mind. And I will tell you this top secret, okay? You would never hear this from anybody else. He was saying something like, when I was having sex with my wife, I started to get high. I gradually started to feel to strangulate my wife. So I thought, oh, this is no good. If I keep doing this, the thing could happen sooner or later. And that's when Sam said he started to have sex with the prostitutes. Because honestly, most of the people in the society don't care the disappearances of prostitute. So because he started to feel this murderous impulse from inside by killing them by strangulation, that's when he started to buy prostitute and started to kill those innocent girls, in the dark alleys or whatever. So this is a clear sign that sexual urge and violence both were merged into one thing. Sexual urge and violent urge, those two things can get together, okay? Regardless of who you are having sex with. And this is very informative information to understand what is going on in the mind of serial killers, okay? Though I might have said this before, in Japan we have this maxim. There is this famous saying that the soul the child had at the age of 3 will last till he gets 100 years old. The soul at the age 3 will continue to be the same till he becomes 100 years old. So this means how important these the first 3 years in the outside life is. The first 3 years. This I called the critical period before. Like those, chicks who followed whatever that moves, which they saw as soon as they get out of this, eggs. It is something like that. It something that happens during the first 3 years goes so deep into their nature that even if they were provided enough love and care after that, it would never put that person back on track. That first 3 years is a diamond period which you can never get back. So parents must be very careful how to deal with your kids. Sam said, I do not know why I feel this way towards women. That's what he said. He followed saying that because I don't know why I feel this way, I try to think that this is part of nature. That is the intention by God. This killing urge, he does not know why he carries that kind of anger. So he tried to understand it as an God's intention. But the true reason is what I have just said. It happened before his recognition even started, during the first 3 years. That's why he does not know how he feels that way. You understand? This is the most important thing regarding the understanding the serial murder mechanism. That happens very early, even before he can recognize things. So he himself does not know why he feels that way. So Sam thought it was God's intention to try to justify. Okay? And there's this funny ending on our transactions between me and Sam. There was another, I think, bestseller female writer, and Sam kindly sent me a letter which she wrote to him. I kind of read it, but I didn't read it so deeply. But I just wrote a letter to her saying that Mr. Sam kindly sent me your letter with pictures and stuff. So I just returned your picture because it is a private thing, right? It was right after I wrote that response that Sam quit writing to me. So I kind of guess there was something going on between her and Sam, and probably she might have said something negative about me or whatever, which I do not know. But on my side, I never did anything wrong. I thought that it would be nice to, have friends, through one common, friend. But anyway, that's the way our communication ended. I will finish this up by one quote from Mr. Samuel Little. He goes like this. Kenjin, there is a guy who get capital punishment for killing only one person. I killed over 90 women, and I enjoyed each one of the moment of the killing. And here I am, all I have is life sentence. So I don't know what's going on in society. That's what Mr. Sam told me in the end. I will leave this to you to think about what he implied. But I thought it kind of suggested something important about what is wrong in our society. Anyway, it was very nice talking to you, and thank you very, very much for listening to my not good English. But I try to make it better with the quality of information I can provide you. So, until next Thug Profile 6, please have a wonderful time. Okay? See you.